Hello, everybody, and welcome back to yet another cast. This time we are casting a TA escalation game. It's actually part of the tournament games of the 2022 tournament they hosted last year, technically. I've had so much going on, I haven't been able to keep up, but this game in particular is between one of my all-time favorites, ESC, and the red trunks, and Race, one of the all-time greats in the blue trunks. But before we get into the game, guys, I have a quick announcement to make. I have just released a video on my channel about this 1K subscriber gaming event coming up. Basically, to celebrate reaching 1,000 subscribers, we are going to have an all-day marathon gaming event where anyone in my community that wants to come can join my Discord, and we're going to play bar. We're going to play TA Escalation, and we're going to play Forge Alliance Forever. You can come for any of the games or all of the games. I will make sure that everyone gets to play with me. We will run multiple games if we have to. I will make install tutorials if I have to. Basically, guys, it's going to be awesome. It's just a way for me to get back to community, and I really want to. I'd really love for you guys to come. I will post the link to the video, the announcement video, and the link to my Discord in the description and in the comments. So go ahead and check that out now, guys, if you haven't already. I'm very excited about this, and I hope it's I'd love to see you guys there if you want to come. You don't have to be good. I don't expect everyone to be pro. Okay, this is just a for fun thing. I'm really excited about it. And having said that, let's get into the game. So, guys, this map is called Diagon Alley. Where my Harry Potter fans at? I don't know why it's called Diagon Alley, to be honest with you. I don't see the resemblance to Harry Potter. I don't see any Gryffindors or Slytherins in here. But anyway, it is a pretty cool map. This little liquid may look like acid, but no, it is in fact water. That is that. We have a landmass here in the middle, and then two little lakes on the side, and then of course these two little land masses on the southwest and northeast. So it is a really interesting map. I like that there is an option for either hovercrafts or sea play. We have seen in previous casts how awesome sea can be in these kinds of situations. You know, you can bombard the shore with destroyers or cruisers or battleships. Oh my. So that is always an option, guys. It is always an option to use naval on a map like this, which is really cool. But let me tell you a little bit more about the players. I mean, these players don't really need much of an introduction, but Race is one of the all-time best players in the community, but ESC is as well. I would say both these guys are probably in the top three. I'd say the top three in the escalation community is probably ESC, Race, and Harold. Combat Disc is probably somewhere up there, but I haven't seen him in a while. I don't know if he's just kind of taking a break or has just kind of moved on, but certainly he was a very strong player for a long time. But anyways, I expect a great game between these two, ESC and Race. Like I said, both very skilled, both very top-tier players. In TA Escalation, I have no doubt that they will give us some great games. Remember, this is a best-of-3, so regardless of who wins this game, we will have at least one more, and maybe two more. But here at the beginning, pretty simple stuff. Both players just sending some scouts to the other side of the map, as you can kind of see here. ESC got the first scout moving down this way, and that one will die pretty quickly. Race attempting to harass with his scouts as well. Now, what's interesting is the early game, typically between Escalation and Bar, is pretty similar. Usually, both players typically start out either with a K-Bot Lab or Vehicle Plant. Going air first can happen. in both bar and escalation, but it's pretty rare. It's a very risky strategy. And then usually there's a few scouts that each player builds to try to get some harassment on their opponent, and then typically they will either go into instigators or flashes. I am missing, EXC with a nice little scout here. He will get 2 metal extractors for his trouble, but of course Race can rebuild those pretty quickly. Not a huge blow at this point. This map has plenty of metal guys to choose from. And there's even metal in the water as well, which is kind of neat. Not a ton of metal in the water, but there is some metal. But as of now, Race being pretty aggressive with his little Jeffies here. Weasels. Some down here as well. But EXE doing a decent job of halting that aggression. One defender does work wonders against these weasels. And EXE giving Race nowhere to go. But here in the bottom right, EXE doing some of his own harassment with a couple of flashes. And unfortunately, Pulverizer's not as good against flashes as they are against the weasels, but still pretty decent if you have enough of them. But it's better to build light laser towers against the flashes for sure. It's a much better option. And EXE will find a construction vehicle here. But EXE is now sending a massive force of flashes down the middle. He is heavily committing to an attack. And Race needs to play defensive, I think, here. Race really needs to be able to stop this attack. And he's doing the right thing. He's got some light laser towers here. Typically, if your opponent is on the offensive, then it's good. The 2 things you want to do is build some defense at your base and kind of use your radar. We can see this is Race's radar here, so he sees that EXE is cutting his attack into 2 different squadrons. And so use your kind of roaming defensive force to curtail any aggression. But EXE doing a very good job of splitting his forces here, and because of that, he will probably be able to take out this con. So far EXE has taken out 2 cons. Very, very nice. Taking out cons early on is a big deal. Definitely want to get that advantage. The more constructors you kill of your opponent, it will give you an advantage in terms of, you know, the ability to take over the map, build quickly, you know, upgrade your economy, just everything of that nature. We've seen plenty of games where, you know, a player kills 1 con early on and it just snowballs. So EXE doing a really good job here with this flash harassment and really just taking Race to town here with all of this aggression. So but Race not out of it by any means. I mean, Race is still in the game. He's not even that far behind. He's only about 5 metal per second, if that, behind his opponent. So despite the fact that EXE has been laying on the pressure, Race is no slouch and he will not crumble that easily. Race is too good of a player to simply collapse in a situation like this, and he has continued to expand in other directions. And he's really economically still about equal to EXE. He is, like I said, built his defense really well. As you can see, he's kind of built this wall of solar collectors here just to make it difficult for the flashes to kill his defenses. Very cool. Very interesting tactic there. Kind of an advanced use of eco to defend your base. And one advantage Race kind of has in this situation is now his base is littered with metal corpses, which can give his economy a big boost. should he choose to reclaim those, and he no doubt will. But EXE's still on the warpath, still sending down tons of units. And let's go ahead and check out the player bases here. Right now, EXE's still just on one vehicle plant, as far as I can tell. Still pumping out vehicles. And Race on 3 vehicle plants, so that's really interesting. That EXE is doing the same thing that Race is doing with just 1 vehicle plant. Nice little skirmish here in the middle. But I think a big question for this game will be which player goes T2 first. We have seen so many escalation games won by a player taking up to T2 more quickly than his opponent and then just kind of getting a massive advantage. So will EXE use his extra metal that he's not using to go to T2? That would be an interesting choice. Or perhaps air. EXE is definitely known for his air play. Of course, Race is also a very good air player, very good control of the air. A lot of air dominance from both these players. They definitely know how to micro their units well. And but again, EXE, despite only having 1 vehicle plant, has still been the aggressor this game. It's a little surprising that he has just kind of been on Race's side of the map the whole game with 1 vehicle plant. And yeah, as I predicted, he is now advancing to T2 and also going air as well. So EXE kind of splitting his tech. And a nice little battle here on this plateau at the kind of western middle of the map. But finally, Race will go for that counterattack, and he does have some levelers in the mix with these instigators, so that might actually give him some benefit. But here's the thing. Even though EXE has been aggressive the whole game, he's done a great job of protecting his base and building nice fortifications as well. So, yeah, EXE has not been neglecting his defense, which is a very good idea. You don't want to go all out on offense and then forget to defend your own base, because then you can get counterattacked and lose the game. So you definitely want to both attack and defend in TA escalation. Now Race will be going up through this narrow passageway. And EXE does have some defenses here, a couple light laser towers and a couple defenders, but crucially, EXE is also going C, so this is one of the things that makes EXE such an interesting player. He just likes to use a little bit of everything, so he is going C, air, and T2 all at the same time, which is a really, really nice splitting of his tech. Now, Race is also on air, but aside from that, all he has are these 4 vehicle plants. So, EXE definitely diversifying quite a bit more than his opponent. And we'll have to see how that plays out for him. But, again, a nice little skirmish here in the middle. Quite a few instigators, javelins, levelers, stumpies, and Samsons as well, and raiders. But yeah, Race has a nice little concave here at the entrance to this plateau. He's not going to let EXE get in there anymore. And Race has a lot of units here at the front, and even starting to build a defensive wall here to try to prevent any aggression into his base. So very, very well done here by Race. But I am a little worried because we know that EXE has already advanced to T2 and is building air as well, and he's also in the sea, getting a little extra metal, as you can observe here with the sea cons reclaiming that metal in the water. And EXE also going T2 air, which is a interesting choice, definitely. T2 air is very scary indeed in escalation. It can easily win games. And all EXE needs to do is kind of hold race off. But race, not to be so easily dissuaded, will push into the middle of EXE's base. But EXE, not really lacking in defense. And now he's got Panthers on the field. Panthers, of course, pretty good against any type of T1 unit. Panther, a very strong early T2 unit. They are just a nice combination of speed, power, health, and also they have a little anti-air turret just to kind of add insult to injury, making them very well rounded even against air threats. They do decently. So yeah, Panther just a very strong unit all around. And another battle on this plateau, but yeah, EXE building up that air force. He's got quite a few bombers here. And guys, I've said this before, but EXE's air control is scary. Very strong. And interestingly, here in the ocean, or the lake, or however you want to call it, in the northern strait, EXE has built a few Mariners. The Mariner is the anti-air T1 ship, a kind of escort ship, and so these patrolling Mariners should be more than a match for any kind of air that comes into the ocean. But Race has made it to T2 as well. But right now EXE is quite a bit, well, I was going to say he's ahead in eco, but I guess they're both reclaiming, so it's a little hard to tell. However, hold that thought, because EXE is now moving in. Guys, remember, EXE's air control is second to none. It is absolutely disgusting to watch and witness, and also be on the receiving end of. So, man, and EXE also such a fearsome opponent. Sending while he sends this aerial raid, he's also sending a nice expeditionary force into the heart of Race's base, just attacking on two fronts at the same time. It is so hard to deal with as a player, getting hit from multiple angles. On the air and on the land. It can really tax your micro and your ability to react to all of the aggression happening at different corners or parts of the map. So yeah, EXE with a nice combined forces attack here and doing devastating damage with these bombers. Let's slow it down even more. Oh, look at that. He's probably going to get this advanced vehicle plant. Oh, it's still alive. The advanced vehicle plant is still alive. He'll get the Geo, and now he's going to swing back around and kill this vehicle plant that just had a sliver of health. Unbelievable, and almost getting that Moho extractor as well. But overall, EXE inflicting devastating damage with that aerial raid. Very well played on his part. And now some Bulldogs in the front as well, and of course Bulldogs quite powerful against any type of T1 threat, so these Raiders shouldn't stand much of a chance. And let's go ahead and check out what's going on in the sea. EXE still just having these Mariners float back and forth, and a couple of Panthers from earlier still hanging around the bottom of Race's base, but they will finally be cleaned up, but not before inflicting some economic damage. EXE is now certainly ahead economically after that attack, 132 metal per second to 98, so he is about 34 or 35 metal ahead. Of course, Race will get some of that juicy reclaim to kind of bolster his economy, but either way, EXE in a very good position, and he even has some brawlers here that he didn't use. Remember, all of that he just attacked with was T1, so he has not revealed his T2 air at all. And EXE attempting to scale this plateau again with Panthers, but Race very smartly building some heavy laser towers here, and that will definitely help him defend this attack. I think it might be just enough to stop these Panthers in their tracks. Heavy laser towers are expensive, but they are no joke. Very powerful defense, even against T2. So very well played there by Race. Race very good at defending his vulnerable points of entry. So part of what makes Race such a good player is that he's such a well-rounded player. He tends to defend very well. The last game I cast, I think, was between... Race was playing in it. And as you could see, he just... Very hard to break Race, just because he is kind of a master of defense. But he's also very good offensively as well. So it will be difficult to kind of catch Race with his pants down this game. And EXE certainly trying. EXE, on the other hand, is kind of known for his sneak attacks. EXE is very good at kind of finding those points of vulnerability or finding a way through the defense. So these players very well matched. But on that note, EXE going for another attack, another aerial assault. This time with some Hawks in the mix. One thing that's really interesting in OTA, in the original game, Hawks were kind of overpowered because they're technically supposed to be an air superiority fighter, but they were so strong against everything that they could they could also kill most land units as well. If you got enough of them, you could just build, hundreds of Hawks and just kill your opponent with them. So the various TA games have kind of dealt with that. Like in Bar, they can't even shoot the ground at all. And in Escalation, they can shoot the ground, but it's just a super, super nerfed missile. It just doesn't do nearly as much damage as its air-to-air missile. So that's an interesting change from OTA that a lot of mods have made to kind of nerf the Hawks. They still do rule the sky, and EXE certainly giving his brawlers some close air support here, as those gunships will move into the action. A single Phoenix there as well. But in the meantime, Race doing his own attack in the north. However, these Bulldogs just relentless and very strong against T1, as I mentioned earlier, so I don't expect that attack to accomplish much. And EXE's gunship assault is still happening. It is still taking place, just going around killing metal extractors right now. Pretty much with impunity because there's just not much down here. However, this wall of pulverizers will finally end this attack. And, but it was still fairly successful at EXE, inflicting a lot of economic damage, and he is still ahead on the resource charts. Looks like he's at 172 to 121, so that's about 50 metal ahead. And also about 2,000 energy ahead right now. So EXE taking a dominant position of this game, and also on T2 Naval. I'm very interested to see what he's going to do with this T2 Naval, because we've seen in games past how powerful that option can be, using the Navy to bombard the land. This whole coastline is exposed. These light laser towers and defenders can be outranged by many of the T2 options, such as the Rangers and the Millenniums. And a lot of bulldogs here. Bulldogs very strong at this phase in the game. Very difficult to deal with. They require specialized counters. And I think bulldogs against Goliath or Reapers, bulldogs do pretty well here. But the race has a lot of defense, and it is surrounded by Dragon's Teeth, so even these bulldogs may struggle to break this. Some Panthers as well. But I just don't think EXE has quite enough here to break through what is an incredibly well-designed defensive line here by Race. Those bulldogs are just going to kind of get caught on everything. EXE attempting to run some of these Panthers by. And killed the defenses, but will it be enough to get anything done? Surprisingly, you know, some of these bulldogs are still alive. Alive and well. Let's see. That one about to die, but there's about 4 left. And some of these Panthers have made it to the eastern corner of the map, so EXE does break through, at least with some Panthers. And certainly being annoying, if nothing else. Causing a lot of frustration for Race. And sometimes it's just about the psychological damage that you can inflict on your opponent. So, very nice. And also EXE building a Millennium as well. So going into that T2 battleship tech, that will be a very, very strong option here, like I said. He can simply take out the coastline with that. And Race definitely on the back foot here. He's still about 50 metal behind. And it seems like EXE kind of has the advantage in many different ways. Now going for another bombing run. Taking out some defenders, but Race was ready for him this time. Race has some Vamps of his own. Those air superiority fighters will be absolutely crucial at stopping the air raids that EXE has been attempting the whole game. Let's go ahead and take a look at the player bases. EXE still on T2 air, still pumping out Panthers, and still working on this battleship, of course. But his opponent Race also on T2 air, of course, and also pumping out T2 vehicles. But the advantage that EXE has is that he is in the water, and that is just one vector of attack that Race does not have. I don't even know if Race has the metal or the eco to support any kind of naval option, even if he were to go into the Navy. As you can see, Race's resources have been taxed. Just building air and vehicles. And EXE now building some Merles. Now, Merles are not a unit you see too much. It's an extremely specialized vehicle. All they really do is... all they're designed for is killing stationary defenses or buildings. They have a huge, huge range, but their missiles are not tracking, and so they're pretty much useless in a fight. However, for the purpose of just killing defenses, they are unbelievably strong and basically uncounterable. Because they're even the Dragon's Teeth, because they're vertically launched, the missiles will hit their target with impunity, and even the Dragon's Teeth cannot stop it. But having said that, the Millennium is now on the field, and guys, we have seen in previous games how devastating these battleships can be. Race will be forced to retreat his army here, and in the meantime, there's Merles continuing to spread the love as this Gat gun will get down to just a sliver of health. And EXE with his Millennium now at the front as well. So definitely a very, very interesting game so far. But what is Race's plan here? This Millennium is a huge problem. It will simply shell the coastline with impunity or near impunity. Of course, there is a Punisher. The Punisher's technical name or description is Coastal Defense, so that's something. And now Race bringing in some Cyclones, some T2 torpedo bombers. But I don't know if that's going to be enough. Maybe it will, but oh my god, what's this? Race bringing some transports in here as well. Let's slow it down. Guys, this is really interesting. Excuse me, EXE bringing in some transports. You rarely see naval transports being used in a game, so this is a treat. What kind of nastiness does EXE have hidden inside these? It looks like a lot of Panthers will make it onto the field. There's a kind of visual glitch here. But as you can see, all those Panthers will make it out. And EXE has found a hole in Race's defense. Like I said, Race had defended the map so well, and there was really no avenue of attack except EXE using these naval transports. Guys, of all the games I've casted in the entire time on this channel, I have never seen naval transports used, ever, in any game. So this is a treat. That was so unbelievable. EXE using his Millennium to take out those land defenses, take out all the barriers, and then using his hulks filled with Panthers to just bypass all the defenses that Race has built this game. And Panthers, as I said, even have an anti-air missile, so will even be decent against these Vamps. Such a beautiful attack by EXE. So annoying for Race to deal with, because all of his defenses just count for nothing when he uses the sea to completely bypass them, and also attacking at the front as well. EXE is so known for these combined attacks, and what a play! I mean, what a play by EXE! I've just never seen this in an actual game before, using those transports to make landfall. And as Race commits all his units to defending that, EXE will send an attack through the front as well. And now Race in a ton of trouble. There's just no other way to put it. Race is in trouble here. EXE attacking on 3 fronts. Bulldogs galore. Race in the chat, perhaps realizing that he's in dire straits now. Very difficult position to be in. And of course this Millennium is still here, shelling the shore. EXE just on every front. Feels unstoppable. And way ahead on eco as well. And man, I just don't know if Race has what it takes to stop this attack. And yeah, he will tap out. Race kind of recognizing that he's way behind and probably going to lose eventually. So guys, that was a really interesting game. Very well played by EXE, and like I said, combining land, air, and naval, very well designed strategy, and also using the Millennium to take out the coastal defenses and then bring those transports in. Such a beautiful strategy. Never seen it in a game that I've casted, so really cool by EXE, and we hope to see some more of that in Game 2. Guys, I will see you in a bit. Welcome to Game 2 of EXE versus Race. Guys, remember this is a best of 3, so either player needs to win 2 games to move on in the tournament. Now, This time we are on a map called Corruption. We've cast Corruption before. This is a really, really popular map for both 1v1s, 2v2s, and bigger team games. And there's like 10 different variants of this map, so it has just kind of been a very popular map to play, even and especially in tournaments. Now, one interesting thing about this game is that Race has, EXE has gone core instead of arms. So I don't know why EXE decided to go core this time. Typically, EXE will just play the opposite of whatever his opponent is playing, but maybe there's something about this map that he felt like core does better, or maybe EXE is just trying to mix it up. I suppose we will find out either way, but guys, I am expecting a very good game here on Corruption, a very good game too. And again, these players are very high level, both players extremely talented, and that first game was quite a show, and so hopefully this game can live up to that kind of predecessor. But as usual, like I said, guys, this is a very standard opening in both bar and escalation, just building some scouts early on. And both players sending out those weasels. Race will find EXE's weasel, but who will win? It looks like they will kill each other. But so far, neither player has been able to deal any economic damage. However, Race is he's moving in with this one weasel. But ooh, it's gonna be close. I think, yeah, that weasel will die. And let's see if EXE can get any counter aggression dealt here at the southern corner of the map. Looks like you won't. But in the meantime, EXE is now on the instigator game plan. So that is quite a few instigators. That's about 6. And right now, Race doesn't have much. He is starting to pump out some instigators of his own. And Race will see this with this weasel. I think he will have vision range. So he knows that EXE's coming. He has been forewarned. He has seen the future. He knows that EXE is assuming the attack position. But will he be able to stop it? He should be able to. He had plenty of time. This isn't really a surprise anymore. So Race certainly should have the upper hand in this engagement, especially if he can fight in his defenses, in the range of his defense. But the game is kind of starting similar to the first game in that EXE is being the aggressor and Race playing in a more defensive posture. Though he does have a single instigator here at the northwestern corner of the map, but that will die to the light laser tower pretty quickly. So overall, EXE certainly being the aggressor here, and Race playing very defensively, as he is so adept at doing. We know that Race is very good at defending himself, which is it's a skill, guys. I mean, I know it sounds like that may not sound that impressive, being a defensive player, but it is actually a really important skill. One of my greatest weaknesses has always been in Total Annihilation that I tend to be way too offensive. I tend to just build units instead of defenses, and then my opponents can just find a lot of weaknesses in my base, and they can just kind of cripple my economy or things like that, because I'm just not as good at playing both offensively and defensively. I like to just build kind of a mobile army and use that as my defense. But you know, It is a saying that the best defense is a good offense, but that's not always true. It's not always possible to defend yourself with just mobile units. Sometimes having those structures is incredibly important. And Race very good at building those nice defensive positions. As we can see right here, some very well placed light laser towers that will really protect him from taking too much damage. But in the meantime, doing his own little counterattack up here. And he will get this con, I think. Yep, barely. He gets the one con. And now moving up the middle as well. Now guys, one thing I want to say here is levelers are very, very good against any kind of instigators, flashes, any kind of battle tanks. The leveler is very, very nice. It is called the riot tank for a reason, and those are very strong against those fast raider units. So Race doing a good job by mixing some of those into his composition, and that will certainly give him a nice little advantage in the combat with the instigators. Of course, the disadvantage of the levelers is that they're kind of expensive. They're kind of like a T1.5 unit, so they are expensive, and they're a little slow as well. The flashes and instigators can simply outrun them, but if the leveler can get into range, they are absolutely devastating. They will chew through most T1 units like pudding, or like of pudding. They're very good against K-bots as well, because K-bots are slower, so they can actually catch up to the K-bots. Yeah, these levelers, no joke, and very, very strong against most T1 units. But EXE doing his own little aggression here at the west, kind of the southwest corner. Attacking on both sides. Again, EXE known for his multi-pronged attacks. But Race still moving through the top left corner of the map. However, EXE, it's got some nice defenses here. These two light laser towers, very effective for killing most of that push. And the battle will continue here on the just south of the westernmost corner of the map. And this construction vehicle in trouble. Race desperately trying to nano block himself out of danger, and he will be successful. He will barely survive that. So guys, nano blocking is certainly a more advanced strategy that can save your units or even your commander in certain situations. But overall, this game is pretty even. However, I think Race, if you just look at the map, doing a little better. He's got 53 metal to EXE's 38. However, he's not using it. Race needs to build more constructors, more labs, more building capabilities so that he can actually use his resources. You do not, especially in a 1v1, you do not want to overflow your resources. You want to make sure you're using all of your eco. So Race finally beginning to do that. He now has, or he has 3 vehicle plants, but he could probably tech up to T2 if he wanted at this point. He has the resources, and EXE now on air, building his trademark bomber squad. But Race this game kind of relentless with the pressure. He has just been sending wave after wave into the northern corner of the map of instigators and levelers. And he's been doing pretty well. He's been doing a lot of economic damage, keeping EXE on his toes, while also defending his own base pretty efficiently. with these light laser towers. But again, Race struggling to use his resources, and I'm a little surprised here that he is not teching up. I don't see a T2 vehicle plant anywhere. He has, however, built some K-Bot labs, so that's something. Will he go into T2 K-Bots? He has built it near the front line, which kind of gives you the impression that he's considering going into T2 K-Bots. K-Bots are, of course, slower, so it will take them longer to get to the front line, which is why building the lab near the front line on a map like this, kind of a long, narrow, vertical map, it would help to build your K-Bots at the front line. So he's just going cons. This leads me to believe he probably is going to go into T2 K-Bots, which is interesting. It's interesting that he would choose to do that instead of just going for T2 vehicles like last game. But you know, Race is very good. He's certainly a better player than I am. And EXC now coming in with that first bombing run of the game. What can he get accomplished here? We'll take out a Mex. Take out another Mex. Doing some economic damage here. However, it's a decent amount of defenders, but the Geo will go down. Nice job. He will take out 2 Geos, and that is really good early on. Each Geo is like 300 power. So, as you can see, Race's power now struggling. His power is running out, and if his power runs out, then his light laser towers will struggle to fire. So EXE has dealt some pretty devastating economic damage with that bombing run, and Race will certainly struggle to recover. However, even with those 2 Geos down, Race still has a similar amount of energy as EXE. So that's pretty impressive. But no, I was wrong. Race is building MAKs out of this K-Bot lab. And guys, MAKs are extremely strong. Again, they're kind of like the T1.5 unit. Very, very strong, especially when massed. They can kind of crush anything in this composition. So that is a great option. And at home, he's already on T2 vehicles, so I kind of thought Race would be going T2 K-Bots, but instead he is going MAKs. And that is also a really, really powerful option at this stage. So we will have to see if those end up paying off for him. I think they probably will. The thing about MAKs is they have a really good range for a T1 unit, but you kind of need vision or radar to fully utilize them. They aren't the tankiest. They have less health than a warrior, the ARM equivalent. So you definitely want to use their range if you can. EXE using his Avengers to get some free damage in on these instigators, and this construction vehicle will almost certainly die. Yeah, it's gone. But again, guys, just looking at the map, I mean, you can see that Race has a much better looking base, much better control of the southern side of the map than EXE does on his side. EXE, this whole corner is kind of hasn't been claimed. The middle hasn't been claimed. There's a ton of holes. And EXE doing what he can, but these MAKs are quite nasty, and now there's a lot. There's, what, about 10 on the screen right now. And, yeah, EXE won't even mess with that. EXE just kind of backing off. He doesn't even want to take that engagement. Those MAKs are certainly scary. So, but EXE now has some Reapers, and Reapers will do pretty good against MAKs. So Race, I think, needs to use these MAKs now if he can. They could easily take out this defense here. And maybe with some thuds as well. Thuds are really interesting in escalation. So yeah, MAKs and thuds. Nice combo. And man, these defenses will just melt. And the thuds can, of course, outrange the defenses. So Race kind of using those MAKs as a nice wall, and the thuds to take out the emplacements. But I'm really surprised that Race is not being more aggressive with this army. It's just so superior to what EXE has. However, I mean, if he just wants to shell EXE from afar, I can't really argue with that either. It's pretty nice. But he does want to micro those thuds back if he can. Get these MAKs into the front. And in the meantime, EXE moving down the western corner of the map. However, Race has a Reapers of his own, and he also has a heavy laser tower here. But again, on the right here, Race's force is just so superior. I mean, it is just so superior to what EXE is currently building or currently has. He could just move through here if he wanted. Now, of course, it's more difficult when you're playing because this is all Race can see. He can't see that there's just not much up here. So he is kind of slow pushing up the eastern side. But if he knew how little there was there, I think he would have already moved his army in. However, EXE now bringing some Reapers to defend. And a nice little battle happening here on the west as well. So some good engagements on both sides. But I really like what Race is doing here. These thuds are becoming a problem. They're hitting critical mass. They can take out these light laser towers without even being touched. And the MAK's in the front as well, but the Reapers are very, very strong. And EXE needs to get those MAKs to the front if he wants to kill those Reapers. But yeah, you can see that even two Reapers here are so powerful. The Reaper is just such a great counter to T1 K-bots especially. How many kills does this thing have? 9 kills on that one and 4 kills on this one. EXE also using his air as well, and he will force Race back with just those 2 Reapers and some Avengers in the sky. So very, very nicely played by EXE, using his units to the full advantage. But that heavy laser tower will finally push that back. And this Reaper will certainly go down. So let's see what Race is doing. Race finally teching up into air after the around the 24-minute mark. And EXE still on just T2 and some air. I think EXE might have even reclaimed his vehicle plant. It looks like he did, so EXE does not have his T1 vehicle plant anymore. He is just on T2 vehicles and air, from what I can see. But again, Race has a much better control of the map. And it's still pretty even here, but Race still has most of these thuds. The MAKs were killed by the Reapers, but all of these thuds, very annoying. And they can outrange these Reapers. And simply take these pot shots from a pretty large range for just a T1 unit. Very nice, and I think Race using the radar, he can't actually see those targets. He is just using their radar blips, right-clicking on those to target those Reapers. and then retreating as soon as the Reapers come into range. Back into his defenses, which will do a pretty good job of hopefully curtailing any of that aggression. So yeah, Race doing a really nice kind of, I'm trying to remember the name of it. There's a name of this. It's the bot and melee strat. Or whatever. Hang on. Here at the top left. Or the Mott and Bailey. Whatever. It's but yeah, that's the idea. You know, you move out onto the field with your units, and then when your enemy begins to counterattack, you retreat into your fortress. And that's kind of what Race is doing here, and it is working really well. He's kind of provoking EXE into very bad engagements indeed. And I've never seen Thuds used quite like this in a 1v1. Thud is not it's not a unit that's used too much in escalation. They are a little bit inaccurate, and you know, the bullets have kind of a long travel time, and they're pretty slow. They don't have a ton of health either, but in this situation, Race really using them like a scalpel, and still moving up the west side with a combination of Samsons and Reapers. Race did include these Samsons as this time, or these slashers, to stop the aerial harassment from these Avengers. And again, these Thuds can outrange the light laser towers. But at the moment, it just feels like Race is just slowly encroaching into EXE's territory. And I don't know what EXE can really do to stop him. He is going for his second advanced vehicle plant. And that's that might help if he can get some more Reapers onto the field. But as we can see, these Thuds do outrange the Reapers, and I'm not sure what else EXE can do in this situation to kind of crawl out of this hole. Race at this point almost double the economy of EXE. So yeah, EXE in kind of a bad situation as Race continues to slowly pull ahead in this game. Oh, EXE is building some Pillagers, and that is decent. That is a decent option because the Pillager will outrange the Thuds. So that's an interesting choice. Certainly an inspired answer to the Thud spam that Race has been participating in. But again, Race just so far ahead. It's going to be hard to come back into this game, even with the Pillagers. And it seems that EXE knows that Race is gearing up for attack on the left side. He can see these radar blips here, so he knows that Race is coming. And I think all he can kind of do right now is hold on. EXE with a very sneaky radar here. It's giving him nice vision. This whole kind of middle area. So, but yeah, now the attack from Race. And this attack is going to be quite strong. We'll have to see if EXE can survive this attack. The Pillagers are a nice touch. They are putting in that long-range damage. Of course, Pillagers also not super accurate, but they hit a nice AoE. And if you have enough of them, they can spread carnage throughout the enemy ranks. Indiscriminate artillery carnage. Oh my goodness, and now Race with the bombing run as well to add insult to injury. But EXE has a lot of fighters, and EXE's air control is really good here. He does take out all those bombers. They accomplish almost nothing. But here's the problem. EXE's got his artillery down here, but Race's army is it's kind of getting into the danger zone. However, EXE with a couple well-placed Goliaths might be able to push that back. So nice job by EXE just holding on. But I don't know, is it enough? It just feels like maybe delaying the inevitable. Race still almost doubling EXE's economy. And even though these pillagers are a nice touch, and they're kind of staying out of range of most of Race's units, I just don't know if the pillagers are going to be able to stop this on their own. Let's see what Race is doing now. Building fusions. He's now on T2 air, so T2 air, very scary. And a nice T2 bombing run could certainly just end the game, especially because he's already so far ahead economically. And now Race with a nice army of Goliaths moving to the front. It just feels like Race is slowly ramping up the pressure, and EXE is kind of crumbling. It's not over. It's not over yet, but it's looking bad. It's certainly looking bad for EXE. And here on the westernmost corner of the map, group of Goliaths and Reapers moving into range of EXE's eco. There are some defenses here. There's at least one heavy laser tower. But one heavy laser tower is not going to be enough to stop this by any means. And the second heavy laser tower will not finish in time. And moving through the middle with some cans as well. Of course, Goliath's doing a decent job of pushing that back, but guys, the damage has already kind of been done. As you can see, EXE's side of the map is just broken open like an egg. There's so many avenues of attack for Race, and EXE just super struggling to find any kind of footing. He's doing a great job of holding on, but at this point, it's kind of a question of you know, not if but when, you know, he will finally succumb to Race's endless pressure. Now hang on. EXE has cloaked his commander here, and he's going to try to use the D gun to kill these Goliaths, to try to halt this aggression. These D-guns are going to have to be great. These Goliaths could kill his commander so quickly, so he's got to do this perfectly. The first D-gun will take out 2. Oh my god. Nano blocking. The second D-gun will take out another one. Another D-gun there. And nice nano blocking by EXE. Another D-gun here. We'll take out that Reaper. But there's another Goliath and another Reaper here. And now Race knows where he is. He could even... Yeah, that's what I thought he was going to do. He could even commit a bombing run to killing that comm now. EXE has revealed his hand. Race knows where he is, and all it will take is a couple of these bombers to drop their payload on his face. And, oh, EXE in so much trouble. Here we go. Let's go back to EXE's view. Alright, we're slowing it down. But Race doesn't know exactly where he is, but he has an idea. He has the gist of where EXE is, and he can just carpet bomb the entire area, napalm style. Oh my goodness, taking out all those microfusions at once, taking out 1 billion solar collectors. And he doesn't even need to kill EXE's commander. He can simply molest his base with all of these bombers. Yeah, and EXE kind of realizing maybe he should tap out. Maybe it's a little bit too late. Yeah, nice job by Race. Very well played. That was kind of, felt like a paradox or kind of like a mirror of the last game. But overall, very well played by both sides. But Race will come out on top in that game. So we will be going into a third game in this set. And guys, I'm interested to see who wins. You know, they've both been playing really well this set. So we'll have to see. On to game 3. All right, everybody. Welcome to game 3 of this amazing set between Race and EXE. This time we are on a map called Ultimate Lush Divide. It seems to have the same biome as Corrupted, but the design is a little bit different. These trees in the middle will prevent units from easily getting through there. The players will need to reclaim or destroy the trees in order to easily get to the opponent's side. There's also a lot of reclaim. This building is worth 2,000. These rocks are worth about 200 or 150 a piece. So lots of reclaim on this map. We'll have to see if this weasel can even get through. I'm not sure. There's very dense foliage here at these choke points, so the weasels may not even be able to make it through that forest. Oh, they can. Looks like I was wrong. The weasels can barely make it through all of that. But, Race with a single peewee here. Race this time decided to mix it up and go arm, while EXE sticking with core. So both players have played either faction in this set, which is pretty interesting. Race moving through here. Some nice peewee aggression. And guys, this is the first time that we have seen K-Bots first. Oh my god. Race on a very aggressive 3 K-Bot lab strategy, pumping out peewees like there is no tomorrow. And oh my, will EXE be ready for this? That is so many peewees. EXE knows they're coming. He does have a light laser tower and some instigators, so he should be able to stop this for now. But again, 3 labs pumping out constant peewees. Even for EXE, that might be hard to stop. But, you know, he's doing a decent job of it. EXE definitely keeping his head above water. And now moving forward. Instigators in equal numbers will easily beat peewees. But we can assume that these engagements are not going to be equal numbers because Race with an extraordinary amount of production at 6 minutes in the game, really just pumping out units like there's no tomorrow. And EXE doing what he can, but this construction vehicle will probably buy the farm. Yeah, it will go down. And EXE doing a nice little attack here at the northwest. But yeah, that foliage did not stop units nearly as much as I thought it might. I thought these little choke points would be more difficult to get through than what they are. So that's a little surprising, but even still, Race seems to be in a pretty good position here. He's got so many units. However, EXC's got quite a few units of his own. He now has his 3 vehicle plants pumping out instigators, and crucially the levelers. Levelers are absolutely devastating against Pee-wees. Very, very nice counter if you can get some of those on the field. And EXC going into air. So early on I felt like Race had the advantage. He was on 3 K-Bot labs to EXC's 1 vehicle plant. But the EXC has held on long enough to kind of come into this battle to, basically come out of the gate swinging. And now the game is really even. Nice defenses here by EXE, stopping that Pee-wee aggression in its tracks. But yeah, these walls of trees may start to come into play as more and more units stream out. They will start to have some traffic jams, as we are already seeing here in the middle. And now warriors as well. Warriors, the arm equivalent to the MAK. Very, very powerful. Quite short-ranged, but if they can get into range, they will absolutely shred almost anything that EXE is building at this current moment. And EXE with a nice little attack here at the bottom left, getting a couple of metal extractors and cons. But once again, Race seems to have more of the map. And economically, both players about the same. Of course, EXE has some air, so we'll have to see if he wants to use his air offensively here. Build some shadows, get some bombing action in. But man, I really thought EXE was in trouble there at the start with all those Pee-wees, but he's really held on extremely well, and staying in this game, which has mostly been K-bots versus vehicles. However, EXE is throwing in some of his own K-bots now with some storm pressure. But once again, these hammers, the arm equivalent to the thud, being quite a nuisance, killing that defense there. EXE moving through the south choke point here, but to no avail because there's just way too many units and defenses. And now Race has so much. You can see Race's army is absolutely massive at this point. And nice composition as well. We've got some Roccos for that long-range firepower. And some Warriors for the short-ranged engagements. So a nice composition here by Race. Moving through the northeast corner of EXE's base. And it just feels like he has more. He just has more stuff. Sometimes that's all it takes, is just having more stuff than your opponent. You know, winning a war of numbers can be quite profitable. And but here in the middle, slow it down. EXE has a lot of raiders. The raiders, the medium tank, very healthy, very hard to kill. Early on, they just have, I think they have more health than any other T1 unit. So they're very tanky, and a very good wall for your opponent to break their their attack against when you have these light laser towers to back them up. So, but I don't know. It just, again, feels like Race has control of more of the map. Once again, it's similar to last game in that he's slowly putting on this pressure that EXE is crumbling under. I mean, EXE won't die right away, but Race is taking control of the map. And EXE has found a nice little hill that he can climb over with his thuds. That's pretty entertaining, and those thuds will come through there. Thuds kind of have an all-terrain capability relative to other K-bots, I think, but the problem is I think this attack will be short-lived. Thuds are not so great in direct combat. Once those flashes get on top of them, those thuds will simply melt. Thuds don't have a ton of health, and they're only good at a range, so they don't want to get too close to the combat. In fact, yeah, EXE might just bring them right back over the wall there. But either way, yeah, Race will push this back, I think. And EXE may be making a mistake by even staying. Because, yeah, once these flashes get on top of the thuds, it is going to be good night. Yeah, those thuds are a thing of the past. Here in the middle, a battle is raging. Rocko's and Warriors on the side of Race, and Levelers and Raiders on the side of EXE. So nice composition by both players. But man, those Raiders are super, super tanky, very hard to kill, and they are going to tank Rocco shots like there is no tomorrow. But however, Race now on T2. He's got some. He's got an advanced K-bot lab, and if he's got Panthers, he's got an advanced vehicle plant too somewhere. Just got to find it. Yeah. So, Race on both advanced vehicles and advanced K-bots, and EXE not on advanced at all. EXE just struggling on T1, struggling to stay alive, and that is such a bad situation to be in. You do not want your opponent to get a tech advantage on you, especially on a map like this, where the distance between the two bases isn't huge. EXE continuing to use these thuds pretty well, but I just don't know how much it's going to matter because Race, with that tech advantage, is going to start ramping up the aggression pretty soon, and before EXE knows it, he is going to be under an avalanche of pressure. These Fidos, so strong at this part of the game, and the Panthers as well. Oh my god, these Panthers are absolute chunk artists, if you will, to use an alliteration. But EXE has some pretty good defense for now. Will it be enough? These Panthers moving through. And as those Fidos begin to enter the fray, this battle is going to become even more lopsided. It's going to start becoming very hard to watch indeed. Fidos are no joke in escalation. So for now, EXE is holding Race off, just barely. He's barely holding him off, but EXE just now starting to go to T2, and Race is so far ahead, both economically and in terms of his tech. His army composition is very nasty here, as these Fidos will begin to rain down their kind of shotgun, the shotgun slugs at those groups of storms. The storms simply do not stand a chance. And EXE, his army is now up there because he may not even want to engage this. This is a very, very terrifying force of Rockos and Fidos. It's going to be hard to stop. The Fidos will melt like laser towers. And, yeah, Race commenting that EXE was a little courageous to start vehicle. On this map, K-Bot's certainly a very strong option because they can maneuver the terrain obstacles much more easily, as we have seen. But yeah, this army in the north is just so scary now. I don't know if EXE will be able to defend against it once Race decides to commit. Here in the south, EXE is a little better defended with some MAKs and thuds, but here in the top, all he really has are his static defenses. That's about it. And static defenses are not great against Rockos and Fidos. I assume that this structural emplacement that EXE has built is just going to evaporate. It's it's difficult to watch how quickly these defenses will fall. Yeah, Rockos and Fidos, very, very well placed. Very well designed for this kind of anti-emplacement role. And EXE now with some bombers, but and rapiers as well. So EXE, if he wants to win, he's got to win now. He's got to use this aerial attack to snipe a commander. That's pretty much his only win condition, because Race is going to start, I mean, he's already chewing through his base. He's already getting near the danger zone. He's got to win right here. He's got to go for the calm. However, I hear a flak. Race has built a flak, and all it takes, guys, is one flak to stop something like this. But all right, let's see how much EXE can do with these rapiers. That one flak cannon worth its weight in gold. 7-8 kills already. Flat cannons, the bane of gunships, of course. If it hadn't been for that one flat cannon, EXE might have been able to win, because these rapiers could have targeted the commander. But that one flak now with 9 kills. Just the MVP of this game now. It will stop this attack in its track. And certainly EXE very close. But Race was ready. That's what I said. Race very good at defending himself. Very good at anticipating that kind of shenanigans. And EXE saying good game as his base is about to be ripped apart by these Fido shells. So guys, a very nice game 3, but Race ramping up the pressure from the very beginning. And with the K-Bots, felt like he had an advantage. And EXE did a very good job early on, kind of holding off or holding on against the constant pressure, but he was never truly able to take his side of the map. Just like in the second game on Corrupted, he struggled to kind of hold his side of the map, which gave Race an economic advantage, which he then used to kind of spiral the game out of control with just endless aggression, teching up to T2 more quickly. And but guys, great games on both sides. It certainly could have gone either way, and Race will advance in the tournament. And so I will be casting more games of Race in this tourney. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. Remember, check the description or the comments for the links to the Discord and to the video that is about this event that's about to happen for the gaming marathon, the 1K sub gaming party. Guys, I'm very excited about that. It's going to be a lot of fun. I hope to see you all there. And if you come to the Discord, I will talk to you soon. Thank you very much.